Parents, what's the most shocking thing a teacher said about your child? My son Oliver's third grade teacher, Mrs. Patterson, requested an urgent meeting about his disturbing behavior. I arrived panicked, imagining violence or threats. Instead, she pulled out a folder of Oliver's drawings and said, "Your son has been documenting my personal life in concerning detail. I believe he's stalking me." She spread out 20 drawings. Each showed Mrs. Patterson in different locations: grocery shopping, at a coffee shop, walking her dog, even at her home. The details were accurate: her red car, her spotted Dalmatian, the yellow door of her house. My 8-year-old had seemingly been following his teacher around town. "This is her actual house," Mrs. Patterson pointed to a drawing. "This is my actual dog. He even got my license plate number correct. How is Oliver getting this information? Are you driving him to spy on me?" I was speechless. Oliver was shy, barely spoke in class, and spent his afternoons at home with me or at his grandmother's. When would he even have time to stalk his teacher? But the evidence was overwhelming. The drawings showed Mrs. Patterson's weekend routines, her jogging route, even what she wore outside school. "I'm considering getting a restraining order," Mrs. Patterson said coldly. "This is deeply inappropriate. What kind of home environment produces this behavior? Has Oliver been diagnosed with any disorders I should know about?" I demanded to speak with Oliver immediately. They brought him in, this sweet, small boy who still slept with a nightlight. Mrs. Patterson laid out his drawings accusingly. "Oliver, explain these. How do you know where I live? Why are you drawing me at home?" Oliver looked confused. "You told us to." "I never told you to stalk me," Mrs. Patterson snapped. "In circle time," Oliver said quietly, trembling now. "You tell us about your weekend. You said you walked spots to the park on Maple Street. You said you got coffee at the place with the green umbrella. You showed us pictures on Monday sharing time." I looked at the drawings more carefully. Each one had a date in Oliver's shaky handwriting. They corresponded to Mondays. "Oliver, are these drawings of Mrs. Patterson's weekend stories?" He nodded enthusiastically. "She says to pay attention and remember details for comprehension. I draw what she tells us so I remember better. Look, I labeled everything." He pointed proudly to his meticulous labels. "Mrs. P's Sunday jog, spots at the dog park, coffee shop Mrs. P likes." The room went silent. Mrs. Patterson's face changed from angry to mortified. She had, in fact, been oversharing personal details with 8-year-olds, showing them photos of her life, describing her routines in detail. Oliver, who had attention issues, had been drawing her stories to focus and remember them, a technique his therapist had taught him. "You share your location details with the class?" I asked her slowly. I was building rapport, making connections." "You told 8-year-olds your jogging route and where you live?" She became defensive. "Not my address specifically." Oliver piped up helpfully. "You said the yellow house 2 blocks from school with the big oak tree. I found it on our walk home. See? I drew the tree perfectly." I turned to the principal, who'd been silent until now. "This teacher has been sharing inappropriate personal information with children, then accused my son of stalking for paying attention." She wanted a restraining order against an 8-year-old who was doing exactly what she asked, listening and remembering. The principal examined the drawings, then looked at Mrs. Patterson. "You've been showing the class photos of your home, discussing your weekend locations with minor students?" Mrs. Patterson tried to backtrack. "It's part of building classroom community. The curriculum suggests personal connections. The curriculum doesn't suggest sharing your address and daily schedule with 8-year-olds," the principal said firmly, and then blaming a child for remembering what you told them. The meeting ended with Mrs. Patterson being placed on administrative leave pending review of appropriate boundaries with students. Other parents came forward saying their kids knew weirdly personal details about Mrs. Patterson's divorce, her dating life, her therapy sessions, all shared during circle time. Oliver was transferred to another class where the teacher maintained appropriate boundaries. His new teacher praised his attention to detail and listening skills. She had his drawings displayed on the bulletin board as examples of excellent comprehension and recall. The drawings that Mrs. Patterson had called stalking were later used in his gifted program application as evidence of exceptional memory and processing abilities. Mrs. Patterson was eventually transferred to high school where her oversharing might be less problematic. She sent an apology note, but the damage was done. Oliver, who'd been proud of his careful listening and detailed drawings, became hesitant to participate in class for months, afraid he'd be accused of something wrong again. The irony? Oliver won a district art award for his My Teacher series, the same drawings Mrs. Patterson had wanted to use for a restraining order. The judges praised his exceptional attention to narrative detail and ability to translate auditory stories into visual representations.